Hello, everyone. It's Dylan from Yu-Gi-Oh! Everything, and welcome back to another episode of the Voices from the Shadow Realm podcast. This is episode 1, and I am so honored to be with the wonderful and talented Daniel J. Edwards. This is a podcast where we look into the voices of the English dub of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Animated series, and we just sit down with the people that brought these characters to life and ask them some questions about their experiences and, of course, about their time working on the anime that we all love so much. So, Daniel, I always like to start these episodes. Well, I say I always like to. I will always start these episodes because you're my first guest. I'm just letting you kind of introduce yourself. If you could go over, I know it's a pretty long list for you, all of the characters that you voice acted throughout the Yu-Gi-Oh! Franchise, that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everybody. Daniel J. Edwards. I'm honored to be the first voice actor on this new series. This is really exciting. So a little bit about me. I am a musical theater guy. So I came in New York City. I moved there to do musicals, and then I discovered Yu-Gi-Oh! A while ago. So my characters, when I first started, my first character was Scritch the Barian from season 3 of Zale. I'm saying that right? It's Zale, not Zexal,
yeah,
right?
Zale or Zexal. I'm not too stingy with it. Some people are, but either one works. Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay. Season 3, my first character was Scritch the Barian from Zale, as well as I was one of the 2 pilots in the very beginning of that episode. Not much to say, but that's one of the characters, I guess, the 2 first. And then moving on to Arc 5, this is where I had pretty, the most versatility in my voice, which is I'm grateful for. So it started with Dipper Orion. That was my first guy. And then Dennis McField, Trout, Nagi. I wrote these down. I mean,
You got it. There's a lot of them.
So it was Dennis McField, Dipper Orion, Trout, Nagi, Sun Shadow, Kevin Ravenwood, one of every Obelisk Force at one point, and a lot of other little things. The
whole Obelisk Force was just Daniel J. Edwards. Just
Daniel J. Edwards and Matt Shipman. It was
right, Matt Shipman too.
No, it was so much fun. And then DSOD happened, which was great. So I was Agami, which was, I think that's probably one of the best roles. It's tied with my favorite. Kaiba's guard with a gun. I was that guy who put the gun to Agami. That was pretty fun. And Dark Magician and Gaia Fierce Knight grunts. So I was the grunts of those. I don't think that counts, but...
yeah, listen, you got to give yourself credit where credit's due, man. I think that's fine. It's fair game.
Yeah, I was the Dark Magician who went... That was me. It was awesome.
Pretty big deal in DSOD, the Dark Magician grunt. That's a pretty big deal, man.
Absolutely. And then Vrains happened. So then I was Gore, and then Varus, and then the dual MC guy. That weird nasal guy. My voice is a little croaky today. Sorry about that. Ridley. I don't know if you remember Ridley. He had green hair. He played a zombie deck. It was in a flashback with Soulburner.
Yes, I do. Yep, of course.
So I was Ridley. And then also small characters like the Eagle NPC that was in the beginning of the season 1. And a bunch of Hanoi goons. And Gore's AI watch as well. I was that guy.
Okay, so you were really into the Gore there. You had Gore and his AI watch.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's great. Well, a long list, Daniel, and I'm super stoked to have you on. And again, thank you for taking time to be here. So I got a few questions for you, and we'll see how off the cuff we get. But do have a few written out here. So first question I want to ask here, just what has your overall experience been with the Yu-Gi-Oh! Franchise?
A dream. When I first auditioned for this show, I didn't really know much about it. I just knew that as a kid growing up, I watched it a little bit on Nickelodeon. I think it was on there. So I heard that guy, Dan Green. I thought the 2 voices were 2 different characters, so I didn't even put that together growing up. So working with Yu-Gi-Oh! As a profession was pretty cool, I guess. Really cool. The whole experience is really cool. It's just like you get to have a lot of fun and get paid for it. And you get to be a part of an anime. So that's my overall feeling with Yu-Gi-Oh! It's helped me understand voice acting too a lot, because that was my first gig, and getting me into the 3 beeps, getting me into the acting cadences that you choose in, voiceover versus theater. Yeah. It evolved me. It changed me. I'm a Yu-Gi-Oh! Man now. You know what I mean?
Once you're a Yu-Gi-Oh! Man, there's no going back. That's what I've learned. And I know you mentioned the original series. I promise everyone watching, if maybe you're not listening to audio, we did not plan to wear the Joey Wheeler Flame Swordsman and the Mai shirt. Just kind of happened that way, but I guess we're really in sync in that regard. Yeah. So that's pretty funny. Awesome shirt, by the way. Really, really cool
thank
shirt. You also mentioned Dan Green, who obviously, the voice of Yugi, the voice of Atem, one of the, more legendary voices, I'd say, in all of English dubbing, even outside of Yu-Gi-Oh! And you had the privilege of working with him in the Dark Side of Dimensions movie when you voiced Aigami, who is obviously the main villain of that movie. So what was that experience like, just being able to work on that movie, one of, in my opinion, the best Yu-Gi-Oh! Movie that we've gotten to date, and being able to work alongside with two veteran voice actors, and I'm sure a lot of veteran voice actors, Dan Green, Eric Stewart, and so many more. I mean, what was it like working on that movie, being a part of the voicing with all of them?
It was a dream. It was amazing. Well, here's the thing. So I worked in it, and they were in it too. I didn't actually ever get to meet them, and I'm really sad about that. Yeah, it was all separate. So we do in the Yu-Gi-Oh world, we do everything separately. So there's never two actors at a time in a booth. And I think I recorded second. So I got to hear Eric Stewart's stuff, but I didn't get to hear Dan at all. There was a small tiny part in my mind that was like, is he going to do it still? Like, I wonder what this movie is going to entail, but I'm glad he ended up doing Yugi and stuff. It was really cool to hear, to hear Eric Stewart, and I always love that guy. So reacting to his acting choices was great, but yeah, I never met them. I'm hoping to one day. That would be really cool.
Yeah, that's super interesting, and I'm sure a lot of people would love to know kind of like that whole process. So usually with and maybe it's not even Yu-Gi-Oh! Dubs, maybe it's a lot of dubs, and as someone who's not really too familiar with the dubbing side of things, so there's never any voice actors, at least for Yu-Gi-Oh! From your experience, in at the booth at the same time. It's always just kind of a day-by-day basis with the different actors.
Correct. Yes.
Wow, that's very interesting. Yeah, but I know you had a lot of fun voicing Aigami. I think you did a great job with him, and just to even be able to play off of Kaiba and Eric Stewart, I'm sure was definitely brought the best out of you in that movie, because you got to be at the top of your game to be matching what those two are doing, and you did a fantastic job. So
thank you.
Yeah, of course, man. That's awesome. And another question I wanted to ask, we're gonna switch over to Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains here. You had one of the very rare occurrences, and I know for a fact this has happened before, but it's very rare, where two of your characters ended up dueling each other. And that's, of course, towards the end of season 1 when Varys took on Gore in, I believe that was a 2-episode duel near the end of season 1. So I have to imagine it's difficult I know it's difficult being a voice actor. What are the unique challenges of voicing two characters that are dueling each other? And what's your approach there? Do you do one at a time? Like, how do you handle a situation like that? I think it's the only time it's ever happened in your career, and I know it's seldom happened at all throughout Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah, for sure. So in terms of process, as I said, it's only one actor at a time in there, and they only do one character at a time per session. Unless you are, I guess, the voice actor of multiple characters like me, they cut the session into slots of, now this is the amount of time we're going to do this character now, So like, I never did back and forth between Gore and Varys. So that was easy. It was easy to stick to the characters because they only had you do one at a time. The hard part was, I guess, in my head, the mentality of, one, this rarely happens. So to be able to be a voice actor to do this, I hope I don't sound the same as one character to the other. I hope they don't blend together and just sound like Dan. I hope they sound like two different characters. I think that was the biggest challenge in my head, was like, please don't make Varys sound like Gore and Gore like Varys. That would ruin everything. So I think that was the biggest challenge. And technically, I have dueled myself before. Technically. So Dennis, technically, with Yugi, or not Yugi, oh my gosh, what's his name? Yuya, I'm sorry. Yuya and Dennis, in the very beginning of Dennis's arc, team up together and fight Nagi and the other guy. And I am also Nagi.
That's right. So, I'll be completely honest. I did not know you were Nagi. I did not know you were Nagi. But
A lot of people don't.
Even in a situation like that, at least there's a little bit of a buffer, right, with the other characters. Like, that feels a little different than just one-on-one. And I know Playmaker is witnessing that duel between Varys and Gore, but for the most part, it's really just back and forth between your two characters. And I have to imagine, like, that the fear there of, oh, please don't tell me that I'm, like, blending these characters must have been really, really tough.
Well, it was a pressure. Yeah, it was a pressure on the company standards too. You know, it's like the company's giving me this chance to do this, and if I don't sound good, then that's the end of my career, essentially. You know, it's like, crap, they're never going to hire me again. Luckily, I think I pulled it off really well. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, you did very good. I was going to follow up and ask if you were satisfied with your performance with that duel, but I'm assuming the answer there is yes. I thought it was very well done. I could tell the difference between the two characters. That's the most important part.
Yeah, I think I did a pretty good job. I think there's always room for improvement. I already hear a couple things and I'm like, oh, I should have said it this way. I should have done it this way. But yeah, for what it was, I'm glad that I got through it and people liked it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And this might be tough for you to pick. We've kind of gone over some of the major characters you played, right? Aigami, Varys, Gore, Dennis in Arc 5, I'd say, is on there as well. What do you think, or who do you think, was your favorite character to voice act? I have to imagine every character you voice act, you probably feel like is part of you because they're a reflection of you in a way. At least that's how I'd feel about it. So it's probably hard to pick, but if you had to pick one, who are you picking? Who was your favorite to play?
And people aren't going to like this answer, but it's in the heyday of my voice acting that I had the most fun, I think, as a voice actor. And this was when Dennis Macfield was happening. It was because around that time I was also involved in other shows too. And I had more friends in the vicinity to hang out with. I'm sure you've heard of the other voice actors like David Arrigo and Eddie Lee and Matt Shipman. And, you know, like we would get together once a week and play Yu-Gi-Oh! While I was, doing the Dennis character, and Matt was
Shay, right?
Shay, thank you. Yeah, and Eddie was Moonshadow, and we'd get together and just have fun and be super Yu-Gi-Oh nerds. So I think Dennis was technically my favorite, but if I have to go with most impactful, it would probably be Aigami for sure.
Yeah, no, two good picks, and I think you did a really good job there. And it can sometimes go beyond the character, right? It can also be the memories that you created outside or through Yu-Gi-Oh! Because of a character that you were playing. So would you say that, like, dubbing Arc 5 was just a lot of fun for you because it was, like, maybe the first... It was... I mean, I know you had a couple characters in Zexal, but Arc 5 was the first Yu-Gi-Oh! I feel in your career you voiced, like, a really important character. So would you say Arc 5 maybe just has some of those fond memories for you because you were... that was kind of like your first Yu-Gi-Oh! Where you really had an impact on the story and you got to meet and make some lifelong friendships. Would you say that's fair?
100%.
Yeah.
Yep. And it was the most challenging because it was new. It was like, oh, you're giving me a chance to have an arc. Okay. Oh, boy. And he's like from Broadway and he's very, he has a flamboyant personality. And that's like one of my, I feel like that's an inner part of me that I learned a lot from just tapping into. Yeah, I would say Dennis for sure was the most eventful in my career and most experienced. But evolution wise, Aigami for sure.
Yeah. And Dennis, let's not forget, he had a great duel against Shay, who was obviously voiced by Matt Shipman, who I know is a friend of yours. So I'm sure that was a cool experience. Did you get to record first in that duel, or did Matt record first? Like, because I imagine it's probably tougher to record first, right? Because you can't play off of lines. I mean, would you say that's fair, or maybe it doesn't really matter all that much?
To me, I think it's easier to go first.
Okay.
Just because you get to set the tone, and then the person has to follow your tone to make it make sense in the arc of the acting. But Matt went first both times. So, but I prefer that because I like Matt's voice. So, quick story is when I first heard Matt's voice, and when I first understood who he was, I was Dipper because my character met him first as Dipper, with the three LDS characters fighting him 1-on-3, and just hearing him go, "It's my turn!" I was like, "Whoa, this guy's got some meaty, got some meaty pipes. I want to meet this guy. And then we became friends. So, yeah.
I will say that Shay obliterating the LDS trio is one of the craziest moments in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's one of the most overkill moments, but not only that, Matt Shipman did such a good job with that scene. Like, when you're watching the original, you can hear the hatred that Shay has or Shun has in his voice. And then Matt translated that so seamlessly to the English dub. It is, he did a phenomenal job with that character. He really did. And that's one of those standout moments for sure. Man, that's a great scene. So obviously, Dennis, you said your favorite. On the other side of it, not necessarily your least favorite, has there ever been a Yu-Gi-Oh character that you felt was difficult for you to get into and maybe brought some challenges or struggles throughout voicing that character?
That's a good question. I would say probably Gore was the hardest.
Okay.
I love him. I love that he's an orphan. His character like speaks to me like as a person. But yeah, the voice they chose. So for these auditions, they wanted someone who sounded sort of like a rock character. So then when I gave them that sound, it was initially my audition for the Gore was like, it was more up here. Yeah, I'm going to do this and destroy you. And they were like, yeah, can you add like more Macho Man and Hulk Hogan to it? And for fun, I was like, I'm not booking this. They're going to pick some, big older guy.
Right.
I'm going to do this.
Yeah, right.
And then I did it, and I didn't regret it because even though it was super hard, I was like, yeah, beat that. And then I booked it. And I was like, oh, crap. I have to use that voice the whole time.
And he's a major character. Like, he's not going anywhere. Like, he was there from the start to the end.
I don't think I was even in the running for Gore initially. I think that was more of a last minute thing. They were looking for someone. So I was just very lucky it was in the heat of the moment. I was originally just supposed to be Varys. So yeah, very, very lucky.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's awesome. I never, I think you may have told me that story a long time ago, but it's cool that you just, with him at least, you were like, I'm not going to get it. I'll goof around with the audition. Then you get that callback and you're like, that's awesome. But now I got to play this character at that level for, the next 120 episodes. So
okay, Dylan, don't hate me. I'm going to level with you.
Okay.
I didn't think I was going to book Vrains at all. So
Really?
all of my auditions were very sorry, Darren, by the way, if you're listening to this, I really did try my best, but I used voices that I thought were more entertaining and fun just for me versus what I thought would best suit the character. Like for Varys, I was watching the X-Men animated show back, the 96 or 97 animated show.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh, I love that Wolverine voice. I'm going to do that. Hey, bub. So basically, that's how I came up with my Varys voice was Wolverine, except my own version of that.
That's incredible. I mean, I love hearing, behind the scenes stories about, how you came into certain roles. And that's funny. I mean, listen, you didn't think you were going to be on Vrains and you ended up being two of the more important characters in the story, especially in season 1, two of the most important for sure. So sometimes you got to have fun with it. I think, there's a life lesson to be taken from your experience with Vrains. And I think it's have fun with things sometimes and things will work out,
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. Another question I have for you, Daniel. Obviously, you were not part of the dub team in Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s, so far at least. I think 7s, though, is about to conclude dubbing-wise. Haven't heard anything Yu-Gi-Oh! Go Rush related. I know you've done some work with Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links since Vrains has come to an end. Am I wrong about that's true, right? You've been on some Duel Links voices?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which is awesome. If the opportunity presented itself, would you come back to Yu-Gi-Oh! A Yu-Gi-Oh! Animated show?
Yeah, 100%. That's so I'll do anything you want. It's like you want me to just be the card flip sound, like something. I'll come back and do that. I love being a part of the franchise. It's so much fun. If I could have a pick, and then it's not going to happen ever, but like I would love to be a good guy or a protagonist. Like just to be the one who says the good line instead of, oh, shucks, I lost again. Oh, I'm dead and I'm a terrible person. Like I would love to be the one who learns and grows. And,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, actually,
But,
right. If we look at your character discography, right, Dennis, who ended up being a plant, he ended up being a traitor basically to the Lancers.
Yeah.
Revolver, we know his story. Gore or Varys, excuse me. Gore, who then of course ended up going kind of crazy in that second season, and then Aigami, who is the main villain. So that's a good point. I've never thought about it. You always play kind of that villainous, evil character to certain degrees, at least. So if your dream role, if you could come back for a show, you'd love to play kind of just a good, maybe not even the protagonist, just a good guy.
Yeah, or more so, looking at the new one, Go Rush, I want to be that guy, the dude with the really cool hair dude guy, the main guy.
Oh, Udius.
Yeah, I don't even know what he would sound like. I don't know, but
I'll tell you,
I would fight really hard for him.
I think you could play a really good Udius. I really do. Yeah, I could definitely see that working. Well, listen, man. I mean, hopefully,
Cross all my fingers,
I can. I can speak for a lot of people. I think you've been one of the more enjoyable voice actors of recent memory with Yu-Gi-Oh! For sure.
Thank you.
And so I think a lot of people would love to see you back, and I certainly would, and hopefully it happens. Listen, you never know what the future holds, but it's good to know that you're open to really anything if the opportunity comes along. So
100%.
that's awesome.
I was also Goha 66, that old guy.
Oh, I did not know that.
2 episodes. Yeah, I was the old guy.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. I did not know that. All right. I didn't think you had anything in 7. So actually you've been involved in the last 4 Yu-Gi-Oh shows in some way. Yeah, technically. Yeah. And the movie. Yep. You've been involved in the last 5 pieces of Yu-Gi-Oh animated media. I don't know if anyone else can say that.
I was Sartorius too in
Duel Links,
GX
right?
For Duel Links, and Mako in the OG. So it's like I just need 5Ds, just one character from there. And then I have technically attached myself to every series so far. Yeah,
that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Well, maybe someone in 5Ds, maybe like Zone, if he comes to Duel Links, they'll let you do that robotic voice, And
that'd be awesome.
Yeah, you never know. Super cool. Last question for you, Daniel.
Right.
Your favorite memory of voice acting for this franchise, and so it's kind of a 2-parter, and your overall thoughts on Yu-Gi-Oh! And its community.
Okay, the latter part of the question is easy. So yeah, I think the community is awesome. I think if you love Yu-Gi-Oh! And you would fight somebody on Twitter for that, no matter what your position is, you're a fan, and that makes me happy to see that you're a fan and you have an opinion about it. It's hard for me to understand the TCG only fans. But yeah, no, like people like you and people like in the community who love the animation and even just talk about it and their passion for hoping to see duels and stuff. I love it. It fuels me. It makes me hopeful for more Yu-Gi-Oh to come, and maybe there are more roles to play. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, right.
And then your favorite.
Right. My favorite memory.
Memory. Could be a duel, could be a moment, could be a backstage convo.
Oh boy. Again, going back to the booking Dennis thing. So like when my first big role was Dennis, right? And so no, that's not my favorite. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm going to tell you. My favorite, so voiceover, all the kids watching and want to do voiceover for a living. And let me tell you, it's really hard when you start out, and sometimes you'll never find that groove to be full-time voiceover. So when I auditioned for Aigami, and then shortly after I realized, I don't have any money. So I need to go do the theater thing for a while and make some money and go on tour. And I was really sad because I did the tour of The King and I, but as a very small role, and I wasn't looking forward to just doing that and chaining days to make money. But like a month before I left, they had called me and said, "You got it. You booked it. You booked the Aigami part." And I was like, "Oh my God." I was screaming because I was on my way to the bank to withdraw like the last bit of my money or whatever. And then, put all of my stuff in order to go on tour. And so it was just icing on the cake of, hey, we appreciate you. We value your ability to act. Here's the movie, be in the movie. And before you go on, so you can keep that legacy going while you're on tour. So that was my favorite. I think that was my favorite moment, was booking Aigami, for sure.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, yeah, I can't imagine the joy, right? The struggles, just
Right.
leading up to that moment. And that's like the moment where you feel like you get that break and that big breakthrough. Yeah, there's probably no other feeling like it. So that's awesome. Well, Daniel, I want to thank you. This has been a wonderful interview, and I'm so happy that I decided to finally kind of pull the trigger on this series. Beyond the Voices from the Shadow Realm. I keep saying the name. I'll get the name. I'm so bad with names. I mess up the name for the Crazy 8 stream all the time too. But Daniel, any kind of parting words you want to say to everyone watching or listening at home?
Thanks for tuning in. This is going to be a big hit as far as like a new series that Dylan's got going. So check it out and do all that stuff and be good to yourselves and just make sure that you enjoy your lives because you only have one of those. So enjoy your lives. And yeah, thanks for having me on. It's always a pleasure.
Of course, man. I mean, you and a lot of other people are a big reason that finally inspired me to do this. I'm lucky to call you a friend, and you've been a great friend and a wonderful person to listen to when watching the English dubs and Duel Links, whatever it may be. So, Daniel J. Edwards, everybody, thank you so much for coming on. And to everyone who watched here on YouTube or maybe listened on Spotify or Apple Music, wherever you get your podcasts from, thank you so much for listening. This has been episode 1 of the Voices from the Shadow Realm podcast. Thank you all so much, and I hope you have an amazing day. Take care, guys. Good night.
Bye-bye.